off the heels of Five Nights at Freddy becoming the highest-grossing Blumhouse movie of all time, the publisher has lifted the curtain on FNAF Help Wanted 2. Chronologically, a sequel to Help Wanted, but where are we in the timeline? That's not the only question the latest trailer will leave you with. Like every other Scott Cawthorne creation, FNAF Help Wanted 2 is a goldmine for lore masters and an actual nightmare for regular players because there's so much to unpack in this 1-minute-long trailer. In Help Wanted 2, there are 6 categories of mini-games and a total of 13 levels that we actually spot in the trailer. In-game, there might be more, and we'll have Mystic Hippo guide us through all of them. Anyway, right off the bat, the trailer begins with an ambiguous ad to work at Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex.
Terrifying. Fazbear Entertainment is different. We are invested in you.
But there are also recurring shots from Sister Location in the trailer. The voice mentions the unappealing perks of working at Fazbear, which means this trailer was supposed to be the first one. The previous teaser set in the elevator is much darker, confirming that you somehow ended up spending a week at your new job. How do you survive? That's a question for when the game is released.
Welcome back for another week of career fulfillment and minimal social interaction.
In the second teaser, we are given a brief description of the JD and open positions at the Pizzaplex, and that's where things get interesting.
Customer service, technical support, safety and security, game testing, perhaps test driving one of our ride attractions. Maybe you are more suited to glamour and fashion with service to the stars.
The first shot is of Phaser Blast, which PlayStation has confirmed is part of the minigames. The fact that it looks way different than we see in Security Breach provides some timeline context, but we'll dive into that later. The next minigame we see is Captain Foxy's Dark Ride. We did get to play it in Help Wanted, and it was well received by the players, so it's not really a surprise it's making a return. The minigame will have the same point system as well. Our third minigame is El Chip's Diner Dash, where the counter is lined with mouth-watering food. Nothing out of the ordinary besides the publisher warning you about the ingredients made to create the nacho cheese. We would think twice before eating that. You'll also be tasked to fix the breaker and deal with any malfunctions behind the scene. If you think this feels outside of your payroll, wait till you see the next shot. Helpy twitching on a bed while you perform what seems like dismemberment or some sort of surgery on him. Or are we putting him back together? Next, we have a glam rock endoskeleton suspended with wires connected to his head with a VR screen covering his face. We are apparently playing a game of matching cards with him in the daycare basement. Help Wanted 2 will allow players to scratch a creative itch because you can also brush up your makeup skills on Roxy in one of the minigames and create a paper plate pal featuring Sunny. We go back into Fazcade for a Bonk-a-Bon, where you must bonk the bonbons and avoid hitting the Helpies. That's where our quick peek into gameplay and minigames end, and also where the lore begins.
There's only one way to find out.
Actually, scratch that. The minigame snippets are replete with clues that would leave you scratching your head. Like, where actually are we? Are we in Pizzaplex or Sister Location? Or wait, is it an in-game VR? Why is Helpy on the surgery table? Most importantly, what's in the nacho cheese? Spoiler alert, we never find that out. Before we break down each scene in the trailer, leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far. We will have more FNAF content and theories soon, so make sure you have subscribed to our channel to stay in the loop. What's the setting? After allowing us a peek into the minigames, the trailer progressively becomes wild and, well, disorganized. There's a Helpy bubbling at his mouth, shots of Ballora dancing, Funtime Freddy's appearance, and an underrated Music Man acting like the man of the show as the trailer cuts to Scrap Baby's jump scare. It's as if there'd be multiple main antagonists, and Music Man may finally get the spotlight as well. Helpy, however, has everyone concerned about his well-being. In Help Wanted 2, you'd also be tasked to pull together animatronics limbs. In the teaser, we see Helpy missing a leg and foaming at the mouth. We can only hope he's not in pain because employees at the facility are not allowed to use sedatives. Makes you think what that mask is for that we put on Helpy's face. But let's go back to the Phaser Blast. As I mentioned, this Phaser Blast is a tad bit too ancient compared to the modern laser tag we see in Security Breach. This sets the stage for the Help Wanted 2 timeline. Inside the Phaser Blast counter is a security room, which is definitely not how Phaser Blast looked in Security Breach. It's like a mix of Security Breach Phaser Blast and FNAF 1 Security Office. If you look closely, the poster has the same name. Celebrate text is the FNAF 1 security room. So it's either that we are way back in the timeline and may come across Henry and William. Another possible explanation is that Help Wanted 2 is set in a massive carnival. There were plenty of rumors that Steel Wool was working on a carnival-themed FNAF game. This was gleaned from an in-game note called Foreshadowing Carnival. Could Help Wanted 2 be the project that was Steel Wool teased with a dev note? If so, then it's possible the developer is still gatekeeping the main antagonist, the Mimic.
Gregory, what are you?
Carnival was supposed to be teased with Ruin, where Mimic was the main antagonist. It makes all the sense in the world for Mimic to be an antagonist in a circus-themed game. I mean, he basically mimics, but that's not the only reason he fits into the picture.
Get this message. I'm trapped here at the Pizzaplex, or what's left of it. I don't have time to go into how I got here, but you've got to help me out.
In Ruin, Cassie is defending herself from the Mimic while searching for Gregory, and from the lore, we know that Cassie's dad is a Faz technician and presumably Bonnie's bully. In one of the trailer shots, we see that our main protagonist is tech-savvy, tinkering with medical machinery and plugs. When we connect the dots, it seems plausible that Cassie's dad will be our next protagonist, here to save his daughter. But again, his age and appearance depend heavily on the timeline. Another reason we believe Mimic would return as the main antagonist, and this might be a reach, is because the guy behind the endoskeleton looks too much like Mimic. The endoskeleton seems to be playing a game in the daycare basement with several endoskeletons trying to crowd you. Amid them, we spot a set of round eyes similar to the Mimic's. Another reach. But doesn't the glam rock skeleton hanging by wires remind you of puppets in a circus? Point at the carnival theory? We know that all endoskeletons share an AI, but this is certainly an interesting angle to look at it from. Where does FNAF Help Wanted 2 take place? Now that we have the potential set out of the way, it's worth diving into the timeline of FNAF Help Wanted 2. Throughout the trailer, we keep getting teleported from Pizzaplex to sister location, making us wonder if we are hallucinating. Thanks to Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, we already know that various Fazbear entertainment venues were built atop each other when fans stumbled upon a secret elevator connecting the Mega Pizzaplex to the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place from Pizzeria Simulator. Then, the Ruined DLC took players on a wild ride, uncovering hidden secrets in Pizza Place's underground world perched atop a mysterious facility. This hidden realm houses the Mimic, a scooping room that gives off serious sister location vibes, and there's even another descent through yet another elevator. Off the topic, this is another clue that points towards Mimic's return. Anyway, back to the location. The first teaser for the game featured an old elevator that was clearly descending. Then, the doors open to a dark room with carnival-style music playing in the background. This further confirms that all Faz locations are built atop each other with an elevator connecting them. For Help Wanted 2, we are going into the lowest section, which is likely the basement. On the surface, it seems like Help Wanted 2 takes place in a building that includes all the main locations in the franchise. We get a peek at sister location as well. If we go with the theory that all locations are connected with sewers and elevators, the game could take place in a real FNAF universe and not in VR. But the appearance of Mimic and Cassie's dad being the potential protagonist, when the phaser blast looks like it's from FNAF 1, suggests otherwise. It's like many universes within FNAF are colliding, and it's tough to pin down the timeline. Maybe this is all set in VR, similar to Help Wanted. I don't see why we have this idea that Help Wanted 2 won't actually just be a sequel to Help Wanted. It really could be just a continuation of the previous Help Wanted. We can cope and say that Cassie survived and returned as the main protagonist, but she's not getting out of there by herself, and her father is just too old in 2030 to get her back. Or maybe the player is hallucinating due to the same gas that was mentioned in Tales from the Pizzaplex number 8. The latter seems unlikely since there hasn't been any mention of gas or hallucination besides the opening credits, where the announcer mentions nightmare-inducing anxiety. There are a million ways to look at the trailer if you're sniffing lore, but gameplay-wise, Help Wanted 2 looks promising. It has multiple different endings, which may allow players to indulge in the dread for longer and maybe even dig out clues related to the lore. I will try my best to do just that when the game releases on December 14th. So make sure you check back here for more theories and lores about FNAF, Help Wanted 2, and your other favorite horror games. Turn on your notifications and subscribe to stay in touch with all the updates.